It's hard to avoid AI agents these days, and for a good reason. They take away a lot of the tedious typing and let you think about the bigger picture. But an agent is only as good as its tools. A term that's been coming up a lot lately is agentic backpressure. Left to its own devices, an LLM with a bunch of tools and vague prompts will produce slop. It'll make assumptions about the world, hallucinate methods that don't exist, and write code that just doesn't work. The most common form of backpressure is executable tests. Run them to verify the code works. But you can also push back on an agent and ground it in reality with documentation. The other day, Jose Valim shared why Elixir is the best language for AI in a post that you should check out, linked in the description. While it's true that immutability and the actor model are a perfect fit in the new era, I want to focus on documentation. See, every Elixir package generates documentation on a site called HexDocs, even the language itself, and all of this can be exposed and accessed via an MCP. Clean, consistent, and up to date. Sometimes the documentation even includes doc tests, just like you'd find in Rust. This is much better than the Node ecosystem, where documentation has been a nightmare to track down. Honestly, it's gotten so bad that sometimes I check out JavaScript and TypeScript libraries locally in hopes that the LLM might discover the intended usage patterns. As for the MCP, maybe tool selection overload will become less of a problem in the future, but I've found that context is best provided through local markdown files and command line tools. Since Phoenix 1.8, all new projects include an agents.md file. This was a great acknowledgement that LLMs are a part of the modern developer workflow, but what about updates? What about other dependencies? As you can probably tell by the title of this video, I've been using a tool called Usage Rules. It's a package from the Ash project. Special shout out to Zach Daniel. Let me show you what it's all about. Last year, I made a video showing off a package called Reactor, but what I didn't mention at the time is that it already had documentation, especially for AI coding agents. Let me show you what I mean. Over in my mix.exs file for this project, I included a reference to usage rules. And with this package installed, I got some mix tasks. Mix tasks are little command line utilities that your dependencies can bring in and you can execute in the context of your application. The first mix task that came with usage rules is called sync. So if I run mix usagerules.sync, specify a destination file, which packages I want to pull in and how I want to pull them in, I can update my agents file based on the dependencies inside of my project. So if I look at the agents.md file, because I specified link to folder deps, rather than inlining, it just says this is where you can go and find those rules or that documentation. This is a great way to save on context and save on tokens, but maybe it won't have as much effectiveness because the agent will have to then go and subsequently read that file. Now, maybe there's a dependency that is just so critical you want to make sure it's included in your agent's file directly. Maybe usage rules itself so that the agent knows how to interact with usage rules. Well, for that, I can run mix usagerules.sync with that destination file and the package that I want to pull in, and it gives me a little preview of where it's going to put the information. So looking down here, we've got the rules for how to use the usage rules package. A little bit meta. The simplest task inside of this package is the docs task. Given a module or a function, we can look up all of the documentation that would otherwise be over on the HexDocs website. And it's returned in markdown format for the LLM to take a look at or for you to research. But maybe you don't know the exact name of the module or the function that you're looking for. Well, that's where the search docs task comes in. This is a full text search of all of the documentation of the packages that you have installed. Let's say we want to learn about migrations in general. We'll see migration results from the Phoenix package, from Igniter, and from Oban. Actually, I want to take a look a little closer at Oban specifically. So I'll add -p Oban, and now all of the results are coming from that specific package. But of course, that's not all. It even searches the packages that you don't have installed. Maybe I want to know about the sandboxing capabilities of Elixir's Lua implementation. Well, for that, I can search for Sandbox in the Lua package, and even though it's not installed locally, I have all of these results and can navigate and page through them and do some additional exploration. And by I can do that, obviously I mean that an agent that is researching what type of code execution libraries I should use will be able to research that for me. So with these tasks, it's possible to make an AI coding agent even better than it would be without assistance, which was already pretty good. But the meta has been evolving. Context management is critical to get more out of agents. While agents files are still very important, some evals note that they have a very high effectiveness. Skills are on the rise as a complementary concept. With that in mind, I'm excited to announce the 1.0 RC of usage rules. In addition to everything that we just learned, usage rules now has the ability to emit skills. Let's go over to that project and see what it looks like in action. So over in my mix.exs file, where I specified I wanted to install usage rules 0.1, let's replace it with the 1.0 RC. Now I'll update my dependencies with a mix deps.get and a mix deps.compile. And finally, over in my project section, let's specify usage rules is this usage rules function, which conveniently specifies exactly what we're trying to build. I'm using Claude Code this week, so my main agents file is going to be a claude.md. In that file, I'll put all of the rules for the usage rules package itself, and then separately in the Claude skills folder, and notice that you can edit this yourself in case you're using a different agent. I know they haven't converged on a skill file location yet. We can specify which skills we want to build. The first skill that's going to be emitted here is one that's focused on the Ash framework, which should be consulted whenever any domain changes are happening or features or fixes, and it's going to inline all of the usage rules from the Ash packages, including things that are prefixed with Ash or Ash itself. Separately, we'll create and maintain a skill file for the Phoenix framework, which is going to pull in usage rules from Phoenix dependencies. To run this, all I have to do is execute mix usage rules.sync, and it'll give me a preview of what it's going to do. In this case, it's going to create two .claude skills files, one for Ash and one for Phoenix, as well as writing a claude.md file. I'm not going to view the changes, I'm just going to hit 0, and now those files have been written. So let's see what we just generated. Over in claude.md, we've got some documentation on how to use usage rules and the bundled things that it comes with, including some basic Elixir usage. And then we've got our skills files. So we've got one for our Ash framework, and it inlines documentation for Ash authentication, Ash itself, all of those things. And over in the Phoenix framework skill, we've got one that, well, it should inline documentation from Phoenix. After all, over in Phoenix, there are 5 separate usage rules files, but here's what happened. The package version of Phoenix that I have installed in this repo is only set to, 1.8 RC3. So this is actually a great opportunity to show what happens when a package is updated and how the skills and documentation will update along with it. Now, updating packages is actually something that is weirdly easy in Elixir, and I recently wrote a skill that will allow you to update your dependencies. So let's just run that in Claude Code and then see how we can update the Phoenix skill automatically. So we'll run Claude, and let's just update dependencies. This is going to take a look at any outdated dependencies using mix hex.outdated, and then it's going to pull change logs for anything that is not automatically updatable. And in just a few moments, we should be all up to date and should be able to regenerate our usage rules and the skills that come from those usage rules. In exactly 3 minutes, it looks like all my packages are updated. That used to be such a pain. If you want that update depth skill, I'll put a link in the description. But now that we have the latest version of Phoenix, we should be able to run the sync command again, mix usage rules.sync, and there it is. Now it's going to pull in all 5 of those files from the latest version of Phoenix that we now have installed. And if I look at the skill file, it has all of the information about how to search documentation, what mix tasks are available, and following the references convention, has an ecto-specific guide, Elixir, HTML, live view, and Phoenix itself. I think that this is a lot better than one-time generation of an agent file because it can be put in a specific place. You can iterate on the descriptions in order to get the most effectiveness out of these skills, And then, hopefully, by having distinct skills for different areas, you might be able to use sub-agents or even agent teams where each one is specializing, only pulling in that specific skill into its context, so that each one can remain focused and avoid context rot, giving you exactly what you're looking for, your finished features that follow the recommended guidance from the package authors themselves. Of course, every Ash package and many others, now including Phoenix itself, include usage rule files. But this becomes even more powerful as the Beam ecosystem adopts this convention. So go check out the Usage Rules 1.0 RC today and see how your agents like it. While you're at it, give the project a star and consider sponsoring them on Open Collective. This has been Code and Stuff. Thanks for watching.